A topic I want to cover very specifically is the concept of negligence. This is a legal topic. I'm not a lawyer, but I'd like to give a layperson understanding of what negligence is and how it affects embodied AI safety. There's the concept of a duty of care. If you're a human operator, whether you're driving a car, operating a piece of machinery, or performing a service, you have a duty for the safety of others if you're doing something potentially dangerous. And the question is whether you're acting reasonably. There's the idea of a reasonable person. So a reasonable person would try and obey the law. They would try to do things that do not put other people at undue risk. They would try and follow procedures. And ultimately, in the jury system, a jury sits down and decides, well, was that reasonable behavior? Did they make avoidable mistakes? Did they follow procedures? Things like this. And the requirement is, if you're going to do something potentially dangerous, you don't have to be perfect, but you should act as a reasonable person would to safeguard the safety of others when you're doing this activity. If you breach that duty of care by failing to act as a reasonable person would, and that results in harm to someone else, then you have a situation of negligence. So when you hear about tort law negligence lawsuits, wrongful death, wrongful injury, something like that, this is the area of law we're talking about. And the idea is that if someone acts unreasonably and it results in harm to someone else, then that person who is harmed can seek compensation. Right now, there is no established legal duty of care for computers. So if a computer is driving a car or a computer is flying an airplane, there is no duty of care under tort negligence law for them to act in a reasonable way. That needs to change. Now, the important thing here is duty of care is not based on design defects. That's a different theory. It's based on behaviors. So right now, if a computer in a robotaxi causes a loss, you have to go after a product liability saying there's a design defect. But the way this technology works, it may be extremely expensive to prove a design defect, and there may not actually be a design defect. It might just be, well, machine learning is not perfect. Every once in a while it makes a mistake, and the designer did the best they could, and there's no cost-effective alternative, and they warned everyone, and so on. There's a list of things you have to do for product liability. You might find out that an embodied AI system is not defective according to product liability law, but still results in losses. If we try and make every lawsuit a product liability lawsuit, it will break the legal system. They're extremely complex, they're expensive to run, and they should be unnecessary. If a robotaxi runs a red light and hits someone, why do we need to do reverse engineering to prove where the design defect was? We should just say, look, it ran a red light. If a person ran the red light, we'd say they were negligent, assuming there's no extenuating circumstance. We should treat the computer driver the same way. So what we really need to do to make this technology viable at scale is adopt a duty of care for computers so that if an embodied AI system has a dangerous behavior that results in harm, that we can use the same rules we would use as if a human were operating it. But computers aren't people, they don't run property, they can't go to jail. So we should make the manufacturer the responsibility party. Why the manufacturer? Well, that's whoever it is that had the ability to decide whether the machine was going to operate safely or not. A key attribute of negligence is that statistical safety does not forgive negligence. And let me give a completely hypothetical example. Let's say that a human driver drives 1 billion miles with a bee, which is more than any person could really drive. They drive 1 billion miles with a bee, and in the US they would have expected to have 10 fatalities. But they don't have any. They have no fatalities at all. And then one night they're in a hurry, they run through a red light because they think there's nothing going on, and there's a pedestrian, and tragically they hit and killed a pedestrian. If they show up in court under negligence, they're not allowed to argue, well, I've gone 1 billion miles, I should have killed 10 people by now, I haven't killed anyone, so this one should not count. I should get it for free. No one would take that kind of argument seriously. But let me contrast that to a robotaxi argument where people say, well, our robotaxis have had 1 fatality in 1 billion miles, and yeah, that 1 fatality was due to running a red light hitting a pedestrian, but we've saved 9 people, so it should be okay, there should be no penalty. Well, if it's not okay for a human, it should also not be okay for a robotaxi. Negligence laws are going to have to apply to embedded AI systems in a way comparable to people, or it's going to break the legal system.